Greetings and welcome back to Room 303 and AP English, and these are now the Roberts lectures. We'll be working with the text Literature, an Introduction to Reading and Writing, the 10th edition by Edgar Roberts and Robert Zweig. We will refer to this text simply as the Roberts text, since both names belong to the two authors. This is, of course, a classic text for us in 303. This is our intro lecture, and we're going to review the text, make sure that we know what it is that we're looking at. Of course, what's the first thing that good readers do? We learned this from our study of Mortimer Adler's How to Read a Book. Learn how to read a table of contents. And if you turn to the table of contents, and I hope that you now are looking at it with me, you'll see there that we have, first of all, an introductory part 1. We'll review briefly now in this lecture, and then we're going to spend our time with first some 62 short stories, then we're going to study 358 poems, and then finally 16 plays. Now, of course, in our study of these texts, we're going to see a number of these that we've already studied in AP, right? And of course, we're going to look at them a second time. Now, do make a note that you're going to see posted at learnstrong.net in the AP folder, the Roberts folder, you will see old lectures. Those lectures will not have page numbers that correspond with the Roberts text in the lecture. And of course, it will be provided for you there in outline form. Now, what will be our approach? Let's just review quickly. This is not new to you, but it's, I think, always valuable at the beginning of a study to remind ourselves. Of course, first of all, our learning theory. We're challenging ourselves to connect new information to old information in meaningful ways. That's important for us. Our study of Piaget, of course, our study of Vygotsky, and any number of other theorists has helped us to understand the value of this. Of course, our active reading in terms of annotation is important for us with our 3 guiding questions. At level 1, what does the text say? Here we're obviously summarizing as we go. Level 2, what does the text mean? We subdivide. At 2A, themes, messages, and of course our big 5 as we refer to it in AP. That is to say, what does any text that we're looking at say about epistemology, what one can know, ontology, who one is, psychology, the study of the individual mind, sociology, the study of groups of minds, and then finally, theodicy, the question of pain or suffering and the value of that pain or suffering, or not so much value of that in the world. At 2B, of course, we're going to ask about rhetoric. Not what the writer says, but how the writer says it. Here we're going to concentrate, and Roberts is hypercritical for this. We're going to be concentrating on those rhetorical literary devices and the like. Finally, level 3, and this is the most important part of our active reading, right? At level 3, we'll ask, how can I relate to this information in some meaningful way? First of all, at 3A, all of the texts that we've been working with, both in AP and outside of AP, remember, we're very inclusive in our use of the word text. That will be not just the things we've read, but things we've been exposed to, the video games we play, the music that we listen to. For us, they're all texts, and for us, they're all valuable, aren't they, right? And then finally at 3B, we'll ask, how can I relate to this information personally? Because it's at that point, when we're relating personally, that real learning is starting to take place. Now let's just turn for a second and look at part 1 real quickly. This is the process, as Roberts will call it, of reading, responding to, and writing about literature. Now we are going to begin with Alice Walker and the great text Everyday Use as an exemplar text, and then from there we'll move on in our conversation. Of course, in another lecture we'll specifically treat Alice Walker's Everyday Use, but we're just going to go through now part 1 really quickly to remind ourselves. First of all, at page 19, major stages in thinking and writing about literature, from discovering ideas to completing the essay. Notice we'll begin with some observation about how writing is a challenge. It doesn't come easy, of course, we're familiar with that. The idea of brainstorming to discover ideas, and then of course looking at characters in a work, historical background in a work, work's economic and social conditions, as well as explaining the work's major ideas. We know all this from level 2 as our studies, of course. And of course describing the work's artistic qualities, and then any approaches that seem important as well. We're going to talk about essaying and paragraph writing at the very beginning of Roberts as well. And then of course the actual physical process of writing will be discussed, right? We're going to talk a little bit about methods for ideas, as well as originating and developing thoughts. We're going to be talking as well about the need for sound argument in essay writing about literature, referring to the names of authors, the use of verb tenses. Pay attention to that on page 36. The use of topic sentences, of course, our skeleton guide is important for us as well in that regards, no question, right? The arrangement of the essay. Finally, of course, details and ideas will be explained. Literary material is evidence to support the argument on page 43 and following, sticking to the point, and so on. Finally, there is in page 56 a short guide of using quotations and making references in essays about literature. My assumption is that you have worked through this material, and you will work through this material. Integrating passages, integrating material using quotes and quotation marks, the use of ellipsis to show omissions and the like, right? And of course, reminding us, don't overquote. We're now ready, of course, to move to part 2, fiction and an overview, and we'll begin our study with that, of course, here in a little bit. I welcome you to our study in the Roberts text. I hope that you grow from this and it enhances all the other reading and study that we've done in AP. Thank you.